Welcome to this webinar. The contents, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about who are Global Infosys, why you should outsource, what are the processes involved, how to make it successful. Because lots of people have tried, come and gone, and you know, let's really talk about how we make outsourcing successful today. We'll also, which of course is by helping people maximise their profit. We'll also talk about how you get a file to India for someone to work on, and the security, the issues. We're all going to talk about all that stuff today to make sure that everybody listening knows how this process works. We'll also look at some fatal mistakes and how to avoid them, Aaron, as well, with outsourcing, because you've been in the industry, as you say, since 2001, from both sides of the fence, so therefore we should be in that position. And also, we've got a special offer later, folks. If you want to have a file done free of charge by Global Infosys to test the system, to try it out, our special offer we'll talk about a bit later. So, Aaron, who are Global Infosys?
Global Infosys was set up in 1999, and it was set up by, as you mentioned in the slide, by a UK top 200 accountancy practice. The whole purpose of setting up Global Infosys was to offshore some of their compliance work. It all started with offshoring some of the compliance work. Staffing was an issue, blah blah. We'll get into all the benefits of outsourcing in a while, but it was set up by a three partner practice, which now is a 7-partner practice based in Harrow, to roll out outsourcing. And as they started testing it out, they thought it's a good business model, and other accountants should benefit from that model, and it was hived off as an independent unit, and that's when I got involved in running Global Infosys. So we've been in the business since 1999, and my oldest client is still with me. My oldest client is 17 years. Has been with me. They are a 2-partner practice. We've got about 8 staff at our UK office, because one of the most important things, initial it was a bit of a struggle to sell outsourcing to accountants, but we took a decision that there's no way we're going to offer outsourcing to accountants. It's not easy to sell to them anyways, without having a UK setup. So the first thing we did was invest in a UK office. So we are a UK based outsourcing company, and it happens that all the operations are done from India. So we've got 8 staff in our office in Harrow, and we've got a team of about 140 in our back office in Mumbai. We've been working with accountants for about 15 years, and we are quite fortunate with some of the clients we have.
Yeah, you've got 50 firms that you work with currently in the UK, is that right?
Yep, it is.
What sort of firms are they?
We are quite fortunate with some of the big firms. Although we say 50, but I think we are going over 60 now, because we had a lot of traction in the market last year. But we've close to about 60 firms who are using our services, and we're fortunate to have about 10 firms in the UK 100, and 3 are in the top 20, and we do some work in Ireland as well. So we've got about 2 firms in the Irish market.
Okay, and this is 4 of your UK team. So okay, Aaron, you're on the left.
Yep.
Who are the rest?
We've got the 3. We've got Winit just besides me. He's an account manager. You've got Yamila, who is an account manager, also looks after a bit of our marketing, and Hannah is our young marketing person who Ian has met, and here he's quite impressed with Hannah. So we've got a good team. We've got a few more staff who's joined us recently. We've got a small admin team, but two more of us.
Okay, now I've been to your offices in India, so tell me something about these guys.
This is a massively different office to the one you saw, Ian, because I think when you came probably about 16 years back, it's probably a very small office with about probably 10 staff then. But we have grown significantly, as you can see, since then.
So how many people work in your Indian office?
About 140 staff now, and we are still counting.
And this is just to show these are actually live people working.
They are. We didn't hire them just for the day, and so yeah, these are about.
These are models, right?
No, these are 140 people who we recruit, train, and bring them to UK standards.
Okay, so because the world's changing significantly, Aaron, I thought it was a good idea to have bring you in and talk
Yep.
about outsourcing because it's becoming increasingly popular.
Mhm.
I got this slide off LinkedIn, and it's amazing actually that when you look at it, the world's largest taxi company is Uber,
Yes.
owns no taxis.
Yep.
You know, if you just go down some of the list, Airbnb, which a lot of us use now, is the largest accommodation provider with no real estate.
Mhm.
And if you think about sort of Netflix, the world's largest movie house,
Yep.
owns no cinemas. And the world is changing significantly, isn't it? I mean, it's almost like the less you do, the better you do.
Yep.
Does that make sense? The better your systems are.
It does make sense. And before we get on to the outsourcing bit, I'm a firm believer that change is the only constant in life, and uh, and not prepared to change. And it applies to the accounting world. It more so applies to the accounting world because of a lot of talks about automation, outsourcing, all this stuff. And if you're not prepared to change, then probably outsourcing is not for you. And this is my honest feedback. I mean, the accountant's time is valuable, and if you think that you can't change the way you work, then probably this webinar is not for you. I know I don't want to be sounding rude, but the fact is that unless you accept change.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was at the QuickBooks roadshows last week,
Mhm.
QuickBooks Connect, and I was absolutely astonished with QuickBooks Online and how they're now linked with my tax filer,
Mhm.
so that the accounting system can now directly send tax returns to HMRC, post accounts to Companies House,
Mhm.
straight from the cloud accounting software. It's an
Yep.
amazing world that's
It is.
changing.
It is.
And they did say, I think the recent survey, that a lot of what we do as accountants can be replaced by automation, and we're going to see that.
I think the more discussion we are having, because I talk to accountants every day, and the more I talk to Ian as well, and going to 2020 conferences and a lot of other ZeroCon and a lot of other conferences, the fact of the matter remains that the whole compliance work and the whole accounting work has become a commodity now, and you can't survive providing that services for long enough. So the only way you can survive as accountants is providing value addition to your clients with consulting and getting more involved in their business. So the process hungry stuff doesn't have to be done in house.
Yes.
And half of it will be automated, half of it can be outsourced. So you create managers in your organization who can go out and service clients and provide value addition services. That's where the value is.
Well, let's have a look at the benefits of outsourcing.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of slides to show you. Most of you will find them pretty obvious in terms of those firms, those 50, 60 firms you're working with are just committed to it now, aren't they?
They are committed to it. There are some other firms who just use this ad hoc. And why outsourcing? I mean, we all know what outsourcing is. Outsourcing has been there for probably 20 years now in the accounting terms. But before we get into outsourcing, I'd just like to share some of the discussions I've had with accountants, especially last year, because in 2015 we had it's one of the busiest years for us in terms of clients calling us, which is firms of accountants calling us, because surely there's something happening in the market. And the more I talk to accountants about that, the common theme which is coming out from all these discussions is, I've got this new work, I don't have the staff, how do I deal with this? Or quite a lot of my firms, my clients have gone and done acquisitions. It's like going out shopping and buying a block of fees and stuff. They bought the fees, but they don't have the staff. What do I do? There are staff churns. Staff churns is becoming an issue because good staff are difficult to find and increasingly difficult to retain because the demand is there for them. And more important is cost, because the costs are escalating of running a practice. At the end of the day, what remains in the bottom line is what the partners take out at the end of the day, and that there's a lot of pressure on that bottom line. And what we are saying is that these are a lot of reasons why you should be outsourcing.
Okay. So what type of work is outsourced to you?
Anything which can be done in-house. The only thing I say it can never be outsourced, in my view, is auditing, because that's, you need to be on site, you need to do sampling and all this stuff. But apart from that, there isn't. Yeah, obviously we cannot replace your managers. You need your managers to do the client coordination, client servicing. But anything which needs processing, any process hungry stuff can be like bookkeeping, payroll, taxation, compliance work. Mainly the compliance work. It's a commodity.
Okay. So let's have a look. You take me through the processes involved when somebody is unhappy with their existing provider, thinking about starting outsourcing. not quite sure. How does it work in your business?
I think we will be covering a bit more of that on the fatal mistakes and how to cover them slide. But I'll just briefly touch on how we work, because obviously I don't want to comment on other providers, because there are quite a few in the market.
Okay, just how do you work?
Yeah, our approach is that coming back to the reason for us to have a UK office, which to me is our biggest USP as compared to uh, any other provider, is we have got a UK office. And the purpose of that UK office is to service our clients. We like to build relationship with the client, because it's not a question of us and you and them. If you're working together, let's work as us, as a team, and work together. Hence, we have invested in UK resources who could be going out and meeting people like accountants, their managers, and handhold the whole process of it. Because it's not an easy decision. If you're not doing outsourcing, and if you're trying out outsourcing for the first time, it's not easy. You need support from the UK to do it. So I have got a 5-step approach, and the easiest thing to outsource is try with the compliance work, because bookkeeping becomes slightly more. It's a recurring job, whereas a compliance work is easy for you to try something.
A set of accounts, just
more so a year-end set of accounts. So pick up a year-end set of. So what we have got a 5-step approach to how we handle clients. The first one is we have an initial discussion with you to understand what your pain points are. What are the issues? Are you looking at outsourcing just from a ad hoc stopgap arrangement like peaks and troughs, or you want to look at outsourcing as an additional support and additional staffing? We then start with the trial, which is a phase 2. We trial out the job. We will come back to you with any queries, anything we have. Most important thing is that we are interested in feedback. Now, when I say feedback, I'm not, well, it's always good to know if I've done a good job, but what I'm more interested in is, which is I take personal care about, is if you're not happy with something you've done. That's the feedback I'm looking for. Obviously, it'll always be good to say, okay, you've done a fantastic job, fine, but we are constantly looking to improve the product. We are not perfect, and we don't claim to be perfect, but we're looking at ways to improve the way we work, and we are constantly vying for feedback from our clients. Then once you've done the first 3 stages, then you take a call. Okay, fine. Is it for you? There is no obligation at that stage. Is it for you? Is that something what you want to try? And I would say give it about 4 or 5 jobs, and then.
And how does it work in practice? So a firm's decided that after the trial job, they'll go with you.
Yeah.
What are the systems that you've got in place to make it really easy?
Right.
And then I want to talk about, the portal you've got, how secure it is.
Yeah.
What's the confidentiality levels, all the sort of things that people will be interested in.
Yeah. The way I would say 80% of my clients, or maybe more like 90% of the clients, they have stopped using our portal to send data to us, because and this has changed in the last 1 year, because they want visibility of the work done. So increasingly, we have got requests from clients to work off their servers.
Right.
So there is no hassle of sending backups and uploading data and all that stuff. But there are still about 10, 15, 20% of our clients who still use our portal for upload. But we have got dual screens in India at our back office. We log on to the client server. The client gave us a secured login. We talk to their IT if need be, log on to their servers, remotely process the work. You use dual screen, get the process done. The job is done. We send an email back to the client. The job is done. They review it and end of job. However, there are still about 20% of our clients which do not have that infrastructure in place. They don't want us to access their servers and all that stuff. For them, what we do is, you can upload files through our website. So go to our website, and there's a whole procedure. It's I'm sure the slides will be shared, I think.
Yes, we're going to share. The slides are available for download here.
So so that explains the whole process. It gets uploaded. It's too technical. I'm not a technical person, but it's got 132-bit encryption, whatever it means. It doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah, whatever encryption it is. And it gets uploaded. And once the job is done for those 20% of the client, it's then it's available to be downloaded from our portal. It is password protected, so you'll get a link. Put your password in, download it onto your server. Job done. This is mainly this mainly works for all the compliance work, which is all the accounts prep work.
Yeah.
But nowadays, on the bookkeeping side, it's a completely different animal, because you're talking about cloud.
So your clients trust you sufficiently to enable, so they allow you to go on their server and do the work remotely from India.
They do, because
that's 80% of your business.
80% of our clients, they have got a secure section of a web of their server they give us access to.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of clients have got, will they see our personal information, blah blah blah. They create a separate path on their servers which will be exclusively accessible to us only, and we will not have access to other sections of their. So it can be done. I know it is.
Tell me about the staff you've got involved in this. I mean, they're qualified Indian accountants.
We only at the top level you've got qualified accountants, like the managers and upwards will be qualified accountants, either qualified by experience, qualified by mainly MBAs or ACCAs, ACAs, and those kind of like. The head of India operations, interesting enough, is a UK qualified, UK trained accountant, and he decided to relocate, which worked for both parties. Worked for me, worked for Kehul. Is relocated to India in 2010.
Yeah.
And decided that he wants to. That has added a lot of value to our product offering, because I've got now someone in India who's heading all the repair. He does make visits to UK as well.
So you have 130 people. Tell me about the qualifications.
140 people. They are people with they're people with mainly commerce graduates. We don't go anything below that.
Right.
You're looking at people with about 3 to 4 years of experience in Indian accounting.
Okay.
And they are trained into, even before they're trained into to UK accounting, which is more or less the same. You need to tweak down VT and VAT and tax. More important, they need to be trained about the English way of working, which is a bit of a six month process.
Yeah, it's slightly different from the Indian way of working. I appreciate that. So you've got qualified people.
Yeah.
So your recruitment is, you make sure you criminal check them.
Yeah, we do all of the checks. They have to fill up this. A lot of our bigger firms ask for that. They have to fill up the fit and proper, which is the same system as we've got here. We get reference checks done by the previous employer, and we do a lot of.
What about security in the office?
It is all. We've got a whole data security document. We are an ISO 9001 certified business.
Right.
So we get inspected internal inspection once in 6 months, and a proper inspection once a year. Their systems are monitored by our IT team, so they know where they're browsing, where they're going, and all the stuff. They've got all the softwares and whatnot. All their external data ports are disabled, so you cannot put in a USB and then extract data out and all that stuff. They can't do. So it's quite protected, and they need to have your fingerprint to get into the offices. So if you don't have a fingerprint, then they have to register at the reception, get their card and all this. Even I can't go in without.
And the software that you've got, you work on your guys trained in what? Like QuickBooks, Xero, Sage?
Everything. I think most of the softwares available in the marketplace. I think it's one of the further slides. I think there's a whole list of softwares we work with. I think we are increasingly finding on the bookkeeping side, we're increasingly using Xero, Sage, we're using Cashflow. But on the compliance work, I think Iris, Digita, name the software, Caseware, and there are quite a lot of all the softwares which an accountant would usually use. We use a CCH, mainly a CCH. I think there's a lot of.
What's the biggest resistance from firms in the UK when they're thinking about outsourcing? Is it the partners or the team?
I think it's a change.
Yeah,
it's a change. I think again there's I think some of that has been covered in the fatal mistakes section of the. It's a commitment. The partner of a practice has got commercial reasons to do it. The managers, I'm not sure they've got a commercial reason to do it. So you need to have buy-in from your manager. You need to have your manager on your side to make it work. And it's a change management. It's a new thing. It's people who have not tried outsourcing. It's a new concept for them, and it needs investment.
Okay. Now you've got a smart model here. This is your smart model. Take us through the Global Infosys smart model that maximizes profit.
Maximizes profit. My view is, how many of us had phone calls from a client, when I say us, firms of accountants, saying my bookkeeper has left, or I need help with bookkeeping, or I need help with running my accounts function, accounts department and whatnot. Smart product was developed on the back of one of these phone calls, which one of my clients got, and we together developed with one of our clients, and then we modified it and rolled it out to other clients. Smart is exactly what it says on the tin: solutions for management, accounting, reporting, and tax. So in essence, what you do, I find a lot of accountants saying bookkeeping, and they sort of shy away from bookkeeping because they don't make great margins on it. Sometimes they make a loss on the job. However, what Smart does is that we work with accountants, and in majority of the cases, it's a three-way relationship between us, the accountant, and the end client. And a lot of my bigger firms tell the client that, look, this bookkeeping is going to be done from by GI. Hence, we are able to offer this package to you. What we do is we wrap it up as a product. We provide the whole bookkeeping, the year end, of all the whole thing, everything which a client needs. Package it, come up with a fixed price, quote it to the accountants. The accountants can do whatever markup they want to do. They could do 2 times, 2.5 times, 3 times, whatever they want to get away, whatever they want to mark it up by. Do the markup and sell it on to the end client. Now that product has been getting a lot of traction in the marketplace, because now all of a sudden the accountants say, hang on, we can make some profit out of. I'm not saying you make massive profit out of bookkeeping. You make some profit out of the bookkeeping, but you make your bigger margins at the end of the year on the year end, because we subsidize. If you are doing the bookkeeping, we subsidize the year end cost, and which means as a package product, you get to pay a fixed price. Your end client gets to pay a fixed price, and I suppose it's win-win for everyone.
So how does it all work then? The client has
So
shares a client server. You go to the
yes,
client's
yeah. I mean, there are different ways of working, because if it's a cloud-based bookkeeping package, it's different. If it's a bespoke package which is on the client's premises, then it works differently. But in essence, the way it would work is that the documents get scanned and it sits on the server, or it gets comes onto Zero, whichever software we're using. We pick up all the information, we process it, whether it's a purchase ledger, whether it's a sales ledger. We do all the bank reconciliation depending on how frequently the client wants it: monthly, weekly, quarterly in some cases. Do the processing either on the client servers or on a cloud-based bookkeeping software. We do all the processing, all the reconciliation, and at the end of the month, either at the end of the month or at the quarter, you get produced management reports. And what a lot of accountants have started now doing is take that's a useful tool for you to have management accounts in the hand, go to the client and provide them advisory services on, we don't do that. So we expect accountants to go out and sell that services to the client, and hence we've got another product which is called the Smart FD, which is obviously Smart plus the FD services. And we expect accountants to act as the FD, finance director for the businesses, sit their board meeting, and then they charge separately for that service.
We call it virtual financial.
Yeah, virtual.
Office.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. A couple of questions for you, Aaron. Richard, good morning to you. Can you prepare accounts from incomplete records? And if so, how would that work?
We do. In fact, 5 out of 10 jobs we get is incomplete records. You've got this brown paper job.
Yeah.
Comes into the
Suitcase,
office.
suitcases
Bag. And what? Yeah.
What happens to that then? It comes to your office in Harrow?
There are two options. Although I'm a bit limited in terms of scanning resource in our Harrow office.
Right.
So the ideal option for the trial job, we can help you with that. But going forward, the ideal option will be to have someone in your team, a junior level staff, who do the scanning. There is an order form which we cannot share with you. Order form which needs to be filled up for giving the basic description of the job. Package it up together, upload it onto our portal. We will come back to you in phase one, phase two. The phase one will be, we'll do a preliminary check of all the information. So there'll be missing bank statements, missing blah blah blah. We'll come and send you a list, and once the list comes back, or the missing information comes back to us, we complete the job. And there will be a second set of queries coming out: unknown receipts, unknown payments, blah blah blah. You respond to that, and once that is done, the job gets delivered to you either on your on the portal. Either we work on your servers, and depending on what you want, either we can give you a digital file, which is a hyperlinked Excel spreadsheet with all the supporting, the bank rec and the fixed asset, the asset purchase, the invoices, and the VAT and the payroll reports. Or if you opt for a hard copy file, which is, there are some accountants who still want a hard copy. I don't know why, but they still need it. We could do a hard copy file, print the file out and courier it to you from our back office.
Do people still send boxes to you from the UK to
I've got
India?
one client.
One
I don't want to get into it. I've got one client who still does it.
Yeah.
And the client would know who I'm talking about, but they're comfortable
That's the way
with
they want to do
that.
it.
That's
the way they want to do
I don't have a problem if that's how
Okay.
you want to do it. That's fine. They understand the risks involved. So yeah. So once the job is delivered, it gets dispatched, and at the end of it, you know how much. At the beginning of the job, we will quote you for the job, by the way. So we'll upfront quote for the job based on the source documents, and that's what you pay.
Okay, Altaf has a question.
Yeah.
Good morning, Altaf. What sort of internet speed do you need in India to access UK servers?
We have got, I think, we've got about multiple lines now. So we've got about 3 or 4 lines. So it's not that. So if one line is down, so we've got a backup line in place. So I think we've got reasonable speed to access client servers.
You've probably got better speed than we have here today.
I'm not sure about that actually, but I think the infrastructure is getting better in India as we speak. But the speed is good enough for us to do, because we do, as I said, 80% of a job is done on the cloud.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised.
That's going to be increasingly more and more.
I'll be surprised. Maybe 2 years down the line, we'll be still talking about it. I might say, yeah, that's become 98%, because that's where the world is going.
I think some statistics said that over 80% of UK businesses, not accountants, aim to be having their business on the cloud by 2020. So
yeah, I won't be surprised if all our work is done on client. On cloud.
So you've got sufficient internet.
We do have sufficient.
And another question, Altaf: do you work in Citrix?
I think that's technical for me. I need to check with my IT guys. But yes, I think we do, because that's a connection to the terminal servers on the client premises. Yeah, the answer is yes.
Probably.
Probably, yeah.
Someone doing that. So what are the typical? Why would people outsource? What are the typical issues for an accountant?
The typical issue, I mean, coming back to the smart model, now all the accountants want to offer a bookkeeping service, but they can't offer.
Sorry, you want to?
No. This is relating to
the slide on.
No, I think that's related to the discussion about smart. What I'm saying is that why a lot of accountants are reluctant to offer this in-house.
Yeah.
Some of the reasons is mentioned in the next slide, and the main reason is it's simply not cost effective for them to do it in-house.
So you're offering firms of accountants the opportunity to do
bookkeeping and
in a
make
profitable way.
Let me get this right. Not massive profit, but you still make a churn on the bookkeeping.
And gives you the opportunity to do advice. And I know you're going to show us some reports, or just talk us through a couple of reports that you do for clients when they've outsourced the work to you.
Mm-hmm.
So just take me through the typical business issues and why people do outsource to you.
In terms of accountants or in terms of direct
accountants?
Okay, the accountants. The main reason, as I mentioned some time back, is the more accountants I talk to, especially in the last year, 2015, I spent a lot of time talking to accountants, because I've been getting phone calls from accountants, existing clients and new ones. Existing clients are calling us saying that we are picking up work, we don't know how to service it. Can you now increase my team from 2 to 4, 4 to 6, whatever? Then you get calls from clients saying, talking about mergers and acquisition. And the most common thing is that they are probably a member short because someone has left. And that's when people say, you know what, do I really want to employ another body and pay 40K or whatever? Or do I probably get 40-50% cost saving and get the same work done with us? And that's where a lot of discussions lead into. And at the end of the day, if you're able to shave off, I don't know, 22K off per staff, then all adds to the bottom line at the end of the day. And that's where the pressures are, because the cost is increasing, employee turnover is becoming an issue. There's downtime because of staff holidays and all. Because basically, what we are saying is, with Global Infosys, your problem becomes my problem, and I'm taking those problems away from you.
What I liked about when I visited your office in Harrow, I think it was December, wasn't it, last year, was the fact that you have retained a lot of you've got long-term clients.
We've got long-term clients
that work with you, and you've got a relationship with them, as opposed to, you're not just selling a product, you're working a relationship with these firms.
One of the things with a lot of there are two types of outsourcing companies. One who operates strictly from India, and there are others who have got some presence in the UK. And if you have to get this right, you need to have a UK presence, because people buy from people.
Yes.
It's one of the common things I hear. If I don't like you, I will not work with you. Simple. And so why is it any different with outsourcing? Because we engage with our clients in the UK. We engage. I get engaged at the partner level. I've got my team who gets engaged in the manager level, because managers are equally important to the whole thing. And I would say they are, we call the gatekeepers, but they are critical to this whole process of outsourcing. If you don't have buy-in from your manager, if you can't find a champion in your practice, how much ever you try as owner of the business, you're going to fail.
Okay, so the good thing about your business, from your perspective,
Yeah.
is that you help people with high quality work.
Yes.
You are reliable.
We are reliable. We are not perfect. I've been striving to achieve perfection, but probably it will take me another 50 years to achieve it. So I'm not. I don't.
I think we're all trying to achieve perfection. We'll
Yeah,
all
I've
end
not.
up retiring,
To be
never
honest, there's a
achieving
lot
it.
of clients, a lot of partners of practices I talk to. They say I've not seen a perfect file in my life.
Yeah.
So I don't expect you to produce one. We will. There are, at the end of the day, there are humans working at a back office, and they do mistakes. But this is where we step in and say, okay, fine, regular feedback, communication back, because it's bridging the gap, expectation gap between us and between the client and India. That's where we step in and say, okay, what are your expectations? Are we meeting your expectations? If not,
Yeah.
what do we need to do to meet expectations? Hence, feedback is critical.
I know some of your clients, and one of the things they really like about working with you is the dedicated team.
We do. We do not. Our contracts don't expect you to have a minimum hour commitment. But once a client starts using us and once they start seeing the benefits of it, the only advice I can give them is that more regular work you send us, the more consistent the quality of the product coming back to you. If you, I do get calls from clients November, December time. Oh, do you know what? I've got some. Can you help me? I can help you, but my priority is the clients who are sending me regular work. They take priority because we've got people working for them dedicated. We do have a pool of staff who we use for non-regular work,
Ad hoc.
ad hoc work.
Yeah.
But the more regular work you send.
Okay, so you guarantee anybody listening to this, you'll do a promised turnaround time.
We do promise turnaround time for all the clients who are sending us regular work.
Yeah.
Whereas the ones who are sending
And what
us
are your turnarounds like compared with the UK firm? Are you faster?
I think I would say about 2 to 3 weeks turnaround time to get the job out. However, with a lot of firms, you've got a team. You know that this A, B, C, D, E, these 5 staff are working for you, and invariably what happens is some of the firms will have 5 managers, and all of them have got priority. So you've got one champion manager in the practice who decides which job takes priority. So internally they decide, they take a call. Okay, fine, this job is more important because you've got a filing deadline or whatever. They then communicate with their account manager in India, because remember, you get a dedicated account manager in India and in UK, you will have a contact point. So the manager at the practice will liaise with my manager in India saying, these are the 5 jobs. I know that all the 5 jobs cannot be delivered. And in some cases, we deliver a job in 3 days or 4 days, because then some of the other jobs go behind the queue, and some jobs take priority. So it's.
And if it goes wrong between the UK manager and the Indian manager, Harrow, you can step in and adjudicate and suggest.
That's what we try to say. But I know the more number of clients we have, it becomes slightly more difficult. But we try to at least engage with a client once a month, once in 2 months. With bigger clients, we meet them every month.
Yeah. So again, fixed fees, no surprises. Why would people choose you as their outsourcing partner, Aaron? What are your differentiators compared with the other people?
I think our biggest differentiator is, and I don't know of any other firms who does this, is we've got a strong UK team.
Yeah.
We've got a UK presence. And that's our biggest USP, because especially when we sell our smart product, initially when a client is new to smart, they need hand holding, they need this whole setup. It cannot be done sitting in India. So that's our biggest USP. We have been in the business from since 99. If you're in business for 16 years, I'm sure we'll be doing something right. And my oldest client is 16 years. Has been 16 years with me, so which means I'm doing something right.
And as you say, you use the major platforms.
We use all the major. That's all listed on there.
Your ISO 9001.
Yeah. And your contract, to reiterate the 2 million professional indemnity cover we have got in place. Your contract is with a UK company.
Right.
Your
so
contract,
the accountant contracts with the UK company, and
Yep.
therefore you've got PI in place.
Yes, we have got PI in place. We've got client confidentiality.
Have you used it?
Eh?
Have you used it?
Not yet.
Good.
Not yet.
Touch
and
wood.
touch wood, never again. Never. I think.
Okay.
We haven't. We've just had to up our PI cover because of a specific client's requirement, because they're a big practice and they wanted our PI cover to go up.
And the thing about your business I liked, actually, and I wish I was in it, because you're scalable.
We are scalable.
The more accountants you get, the more people you can recruit in India.
Yes.
And people in India, accountants who've spent time getting qualified, got their MBAs and so forth,
Yeah.
they want to work for you because you're good payers. And
we are good payers, but we only need to employ the MBAs and the qualified accountants at the managerial level, because India has got a big pool of people who are good in accounting.
Yeah.
And the skill set exists in the market. So I don't need to necessarily employ qualified accountants, qualified by experience, not qualified by qualification, at the process level. So my process level staff are all commerce graduates with 3-4 years of experience, and they are retrained into UK accounting.
Yeah, they're qualified accountants.
They're qualified accountants, yeah.
Absolutely. Talk me through some of the sample reports. So if someone's on zero,
someone is on zero, we can do zero. I think we've set up a separate team in India, and we are adding more bodies to it to find ways of automating a lot of stuff we do. So we've got a team who has been researching zero. They've been working with add-on partners. I mean, recently we did a piece of work with a client of one of the firms of accountants, where we have put in zero through an add-on partner. We have our add-on partner has helped them develop the CRM package on the back of all this, which integrates with zero. Then you got Receipt Bank, and we are talking to Data Molino, which is another service provider. I think we have. I think one of my implementation team, they are sort of favoring more like Spotlight, but we have tried Spotlight, we've tried
Crunchboard, Spotlight, Analytics, all of those.
I must say I'm quite keen to explore them as well. But all this, listen, there's so many softwares out there, and we are learning as time goes.
So you can produce the reports that maybe some of the accountants haven't got the time for at the moment. So if they outsource it, the reports come back with the work saying, here's the what if scenarios, here's the predictions, here's a template you could use.
What we do is we will give them a report which we think it's a two-way process. So we will submit you something which we think is appropriate, but then you are closer to the client, your end client. So you might say, hang on, I want these KPIs. For example, I had chains of pharmacies who we work with. They've got specific KPIs to work with. So we, for the banks, EBITDAs and blah, blah, blah. So we have tweaked our reporting to specific. So all our reports are just quickly reviewed by the accountants, and off it goes to the bank. We've got hospitality sector like hotels, restaurants, and all this stuff, where we are running accounts department for them through other firms of accountants. So accountant acts as the FD, FC, or virtual financial controller and stuff. We run all the back office. We produce the reports, and they simply cannot afford to have the in-house resource to provide that level of service. So all of a sudden, from an end client's point of view, for the price of maybe a slightly higher than a bookkeeper, they are getting a more management accountant, an FD, FC kind of a role, because we are working with accountants. So they get accountants and us both on board.
Good. So I'm smiling because this is the fatal mistake I had to avoid them slide that I thought we ought to really talk about, because when people outsource, there have been people have tried it, didn't like it in the past, and if you're in that situation now, let's just talk through how you avoid making fatal mistakes without.
I think the whole fatal mistakes. I think there are two. Okay, there are one batch of accountants who have tried outsourcing. And then there is another batch of accountants who have heard of outsourcing, but they haven't tried it.
Yeah.
So it works differently for both of them.
Yeah.
So, for someone who hasn't tried outsourcing, it's not something. I'm not a magician. I won't come in and solve all your problems overnight. You need to give time. It's not that we step in tomorrow and solve all your resourcing issues, all your cost issues, and all this stuff. It ain't going to work that way. You put in resources, we put in resources. It's a team effort. I put in my team, you put in your team. Together we make it work. And it's not going to happen tomorrow. It'll take about 3 to 6 months. You have to give it 3 to. Now, a lot of times what I find is accountants do value outsourcing. They think there's a value to outsourcing. However, they think, okay, fine, should be working, should be up and running from next month. Doesn't happen. So unless if you're not committed to it, don't do it.
But you go out and see your accountants
We do
anyway.
go.
You meet their team.
We meet the team. So I would work on, and one of my other colleagues would work with the partners. We will tell them, okay, these are the issues you will have. You need to find someone who you trust in the practice, is your champion. We call them the champion, champion of outsourcing. It has to be a manager. You need to have buy-in. If your manager is your gatekeeper, how much ever you want to make it work, it will not work. This is with experience. Sometimes I think, you know what, I've tried enough. I've tried this. It's not working. You know what? It's not working. It's not for you. Just move on. It is not going to work for you because the mindset has to change. So and the other common thing where it works like a clockwork. Where it doesn't work, it's like us and them, or they have done this, we have done it. If you're going to work on this, let's work it as a team. There's no us and no you and whatnot. We sit with you, we work as a team, and we make it work. Now, I'm committed to put my time on it, or my team's time on it. The question is, are you committed to it? If you're not committed to it, forget about it. Important thing is regular feedback and communication. You need to communicate. You need to have feedback. The critical thing is that when we have done a job, it takes about 3 or 4 or 5 jobs for us to get to know each other. But we need to communicate with each other. You need to give feedback. A lot of times clients say, oh, I don't have time to give the feedback.
Interesting comments is the feedback, the relationship, and the fact that you've got your Harrow office that can liaise between the firm and India. And that you're going to work with a champion from Harrow to make sure that.
But not just Harrow. You'll have someone from my office. I need someone from your office, a manager, not the partner, because the partner is going to say, here is outsourcing. Yeah, it should work. You just deal with it.
What about a sole practitioner then? We've got quite a few of those listening today.
It becomes slightly difficult with sole practitioner. I'm not saying it's not possible, because sole practitioner is doing many things. He's running around a lot of times. We've got quite a few sole practitioners, but so long you're switched on and you just start the process, and it works.
So
but to get them started,
manager, or even if you've got one guy
on site, one guy on his own,
then he or she has to become the manager.
He has to become the manager, and more important is you need to get started. Like the one thing we for people who have tried, I think I get a lot of inquiries from people. You know what? We've tried outsourcing. Actually, it doesn't work. I said, then I try to find out why it hasn't worked for you. And the common feature is, oh, do you know what? Blah blah. My first question to them is, okay, how much do you think you've paid for this job? And they come up with some silly numbers like £7 an hour, £8 an hour, £6, $6 an hour. And I've been in the field long enough. It doesn't buy much in it. That £6, £7 doesn't buy much in Mumbai.
What is the typical margin that a firm will make? Improve on. We talked profit. Just suppose the job's £1,000.
Yeah.
The accountant.
So for example, on our compliance work, which is we work on a fixed cost basis. So let's talk about just compliance, the year-end compliance work, year-end accounts. Typically for something which an end client, an accountant would charge an end client, £1,000, you're probably looking at anywhere between 150 to about 250 quid to do the job,
right,
by us, and you will get a job back, which probably needs about an hour, maybe hour and a half, or maybe 2 hours of someone's time to review it and send it. And
so you've got some input time. So maybe some missing information, some help for the
we will give you the missing information. So all you're doing is copying and pasting the queries which come from us.
Here's what your clients think about you, Aaron. What is this? Partner of a top UK 50 accountancy practice. Now just phrasing that for us in 10 seconds.
They had they're still this. They've been our clients for about 9 years now, I think, and this is probably going back about 9 years, maybe more. They had a huge transition from one particular software to the other one. That was how we were introduced to Caseware, and that's how I know Shez and the guys in Caseware. as well. That was they had taken the decision to move on to Caseware, and they had a massive issue of they had, I can't remember now, hundreds and hundreds of clients. They didn't have a clue how to move the data out because they didn't have the resource in house. So we did all of the data transfer for them, and we still get inquiries from people who want to move data from one software to the other software.
And of course, I mean, a lot of people are moving to cloud accounting from desktop.
Yeah.
And one or two, I mean, we won't mention any, but one or two desktop packages are seeing a decline in their number of users, and the number of cloud accounting packages are seeing an increase in the number of users. You can help firms with that.
We can help firms with them. We can help them set up. And then we can then, once it moves on to zero, we can take on. So the client will have, the accountants will have a one-off cost from us, like a one-off fee to set it up from another software. I was just about to say the software.
Don't mention the software.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing it. From A software to the B software, we will do the transition. There'll be a setup cost for that, and then we can give you an ongoing price based on the volume of transactions. I think in one particular case, we moved about 2 years of data from A to B. And then we'll say, so when I look at the 2 years of data, we know more or less what volumes are involved. And then we'll say, the setup cost will be X and the ongoing monthly cost will be Y.
See, I'm finding that not only are businesses driving the change to the cloud to their accountant, but some accounting firms are saying, we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna use this cloud accounting package. All of our clients are going on it.
Yeah.
And again, the data transfer is quite a process. So you can help with that.
We can help with that, and then we are driven by the client, because we don't say you have to use this software. We'll come up with a suggestion. We'll come up with, okay, this software has got this advantage, that advantage, whatever. I've got a technical accountant who does all that, and then it's your choice. I mean, we are driven by you. What do you want to use? If you're comfortable X, we'll do X. If you're comfortable with Y, we'll do Y.
So if you want to get Global Infosys, you want to try them out and just give them a job to have a look at. If you want to meet Aaron, Jamila, or Hannah,
or Binit, for that matter,
any one of the guys, I'll come to your office, have a look at what you're doing, talk to you on the phone. If you want to think about outsourcing, then why don't you give them a call? And there's Aaron's email addresses there, and you can look them up on the website, or you can come through 2020.
In fact,
and that job is a free job, right?
We do a free job within reason.
Within reason. Okay, so don't send them your
not the big
don't PLC audit and give them the accounts.
Don't send me the 3 boxes to my office. Sorry, please. But
I would.
I've got on the testimonial side of the website, you can go to our website. There are some video testimonials as well. There's some written testimonials, and more important is, if you want to, I think, talk to my clients if you want to.
All right. Well, Aaron, thank you very much indeed for your time today, telling us about Global Infosys and how to outsource and some of the fatal mistakes and how it works and the uploads and the 20% using the portal and 80% direct access. Fascinating stuff. We wish you all the very best for the future. And folks, please contact Aaron and try a job out.
Thanks.